Or damage there. Well, testifying before a congressional committee on Thursday, Toyota's president repeatedly apologized in general for the accidents his cars have caused.
But then he specifically addressed the August accident in Santee that killed CHP officer Mark Saylor and 3 members of his family. All right. This morning, Brian Bilbray is with us, Congressman, to talk about that. And you were at the committee hearings, and you were able to speak directly to Akio Toyoda. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, we were basically saying that was their reputation, their great reputation, one of the major problems here. One of the things that we talked to the government oversight was, did we look the other way for Toyota that we would not have looked the other way if it was General Motors or Ford? Because everybody just assumed Toyota has the great engineers. If you look at job satisfaction, they and Mercedes are neck and neck. I think they may have been a victim of not only their own reputation, but government looking the other way, assuming that. Also, the biggest thing, trying to get across this mentality that they are vulnerable. They do need to question themselves, and they need to come clean whenever there's a problem. And I think that is one of the biggest things we're looking at. But I think that one of the things we focus on is going after the car industry rather than saying, why didn't we catch it? And one of the things that I finally got him to agree to, which he did not, you know, it's a cultural problem there of just saying yes and no, was the fact that Toyota and every auto dealership and every manufacturer should declare all of their problems, no matter where it happens in the world with an engineering problem, rather than just here in the United States, which is now. And it took me about 4 or 5 times to finally get him to say, hi.
Yep. Yes. There were some translation problems with that, and it went back and forth, and you finally, you got him to say yes or no.
Yeah, and you know, it's sort of frustrating because I wasn't trying to be adversarial. I mean, it's always easy for those of us in the Oversight Committee to sort of take a cheap shot. I was trying to get him to offer up something to the American people in the way of a reform that could help to avoid this in the future. That's our job, is to make sure or do what we can in the system to try to avoid the deaths like we had the tragedy here in San Diego.
There were reports years before Toyota raised a red flag about people having problems with gas pedals, and people went to individuals at NHTSA and they went to Toyota, and many of them were told, you were wearing high heels, you were, you know, it was your fault, you didn't drive correctly. And there are some questions about what was done to cars after people reported damage you know, there's some issues of what happened behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
How far back are we going to go?
I think, well, we obviously have it documented 07 at least. But this is what I'm talking about. This is this culture of our products are perfect, that our system works. We do not question our system. It's almost like a theology. And that's great to a point, but then it becomes a major problem, if not an evil, when you stop denying your fallibility. In fact, one of the representatives, the engineer from Japan, said, I am 100% sure, and I call him down on that. It says no human can be 100% sure. You can say, I am extremely confident, but that 100% sure confidence, to me, led to this problem. And we need to shake up the federal bureaucracy, but we need to shake up this feeling of invincibility by certain manufacturers. Just because their products have been very good, high quality historically, doesn't mean they've got to constantly question themselves. Toyota didn't question themselves. They found justification to blame everybody else, not themselves.
Yes. So much going on in Washington. Let's switch gears to health care. Nancy Pelosi in the paper today, optimistic that the Senate bill is going to get through now, and things are kind of roller coastering. What do you feel, or domino, I should say? What do you feel about this? Where are we with health care?
I think, look, what's happened is that the majority has done a poll and said, look, the damage politically has been done to them. No matter what they do, the American people are going to be mad at them. So they said, we might as well do what we want and not worry about the politics because the damage is done. It's going to be tough for her to try to talk a lot of the moderate Democrats into jumping off the cliff with her. They've done it on other issues, and they've really heard about it. There was a real transformation this August when they came back to their districts, and you remember the town hall meetings. People are upset. They're mad. They think that Washington is not listening to them, and I think shoving this through, no matter what happens, no matter what the American people think, is going to reinforce that outrage about Washington. Who do you represent? Are you honestly think that you're so much smarter than those of us in the United States? And I think that's the big lesson here, why most people are more outraged. It's not just the details, but the attitude that somehow Washington is so much more sophisticated and knowledgeable than the American people. I think American people are proving they're much more knowledgeable and sophisticated than Washington gives them credit.
The president said if he doesn't have the votes, he's going to take it off the table. But during the summit, there were some issues that Republicans and Democrats could agree on. Even if the issue is taken off the table as it is now, will the government still look at some of those key issues, some reform for insurance companies?
In fact, this week you saw Republicans join with Democrats at eliminating the exemption from the monopoly laws, basically because we need to make sure that there's more competition. The fact is this: I think the Republicans have got to be willing to put the insurance companies on the chopping block, but the Democrats have to be willing to put the tort lawyers on the chopping block. Any physician will tell you this is a major cost. We need to bring down costs for everybody before we start promising more to anyone.
Before we let you go, your initial reaction to what's happened overnight in Chile?
Well, I tell you, I think that first of all, you're going to see the damage is going to be reinforced concrete. They do that. I think as San Diegans, thankful that we're on a coast that probably will just get a bounce off. Hawaii will get a direct hit from whatever's coming down. So that's why you're going to see a higher degree of concern about the people in Hawaii, because the way our coast runs. People forget that Chile is so far east that it's on the same longitude as Washington, D.C. So it's way over there, but Hawaii is really exposed.
You don't feel like the international response is going to be necessary like it was in Haiti?
I don't think that it's going to be a response. First of all, Chile has designed their building code, Unified Building Code, most successful government regulation in the world. They have adopted, and they have the infrastructure. They have the government stability historically. They have good ties economically and politically with us, and I think they'll get through it much more. I think this is going to be a great example of the difference between two political and economic and social structures, and the fact is how they respond to this crisis, and I think we can learn a lot from this.
Yeah, the people in Haiti can learn from Chile. Well, as they rebuilt.
And we can learn that we've allowed two-bit dictatorships to control Haiti. We've allowed corruption, where Chile has actually reformed. They went through a tough period, but in the last 20 years, you've seen major reforms in their economic and political structure.
Yeah, great history lesson to be learned, absolutely.
And these are live, those were live pictures from Chile right there as they're responding. There are some fires and things breaking out there.
Congressman Bilbray, thank you so much.
Absolutely, great to be able to get home. I'd much rather enjoy the rain here than go through the snow back there.
It has been a rough winter, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, but I never thought I'd ever see weather like this and say, oh, it's so great.
Yeah.